All right, guys. Thank you for joining up. I'm excited to dive into this. So, this is going to be the last lecture you'll see of my ugly mug. Shortly after, we will start moving to slides, and I'll be taking you through all kinds of examples and different things you can do with SQL. But first, I just wanted to give a quick introduction around how SQL works. So, essentially, SQL is like a language of databases. So, in the same sense that I can communicate with you using the English language, SQL allows you to communicate with your database, which is where all information about your customers, etc., is stored. As an aside, think of a database like a really massive Excel spreadsheet that includes everything about your customers. So what SQL does is the language of databases. So if you know SQL, you can talk to your database, you can talk to this massive Excel spreadsheet and pull any information you want from that spreadsheet. SQL is amazing for answering questions you have as a marketer or a growth hacker, or anyone really. So you can use SQL to answer common marketing questions like, who are my most valuable customers? What is my customer lifetime value? Like customer comes in, what are they worth over their lifetime? How well are my marketing campaigns working? Am I losing money or making money on the AdWords, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, campaigns that you're running? You can use this tool to answer basic questions about your business. Knowing SQL means that you can run your own data analysis and don't need to annoy developers or engineers to run queries for you. I had this problem in a major way at my last company. We were a small startup. I was the only one. I was running like the marketing team. And so for our engineers, for our product guys who are working on building the product and releasing new features and fixing bugs, when I came over to say, hey, can you find out this one or two thing, these one or two things for me, it kind of came across as a hassle. I had to annoy them to run queries for me because I didn't know how to do it. It made me slower, less effective, and it just wasn't great for team chemistry. Once I learned how to run these queries myself, it allowed us to move much, much, much faster and get a lot more done. By the end of this course, you'll be able to run your own data analysis to learn whatever you want. You can essentially answer any question you have about how your campaigns are doing, how your business is doing, what your customers are doing, which customer is most valuable, whatever. So just to give you a quick example of how useful this is, I actually used this tool SQL to dig into churn data at Airbreak. We had an issue where a bunch of people were signing up for the product. They would install something, and then they would end up, quitting within 30 days. We would see spike in signups, and then they would leave and never sign up for the product and actually start paying us at the end of our free trial. Pretty important if you're a marketer. So what I did is I used SQL. I looked and I saw, okay, of everyone that's leaving our product within the first 30 days, what do they have in common? Where do they come from? What is their first experience over the first couple of days in the product? And what we found is that customers who signed up from Heroku, which is a certain developer tool specific marketplace, so customers that signed up from Heroku were churning out at an incredible rate. We saw almost 40% of our customers that came from that source, Heroku, ended up leaving within 3 days of signing up to try Airbreak. That actually sucks. So what doing this data project allowed me to do was look really closely and say, okay, clearly something is going wrong when it comes to onboarding and getting these Heroku users active in Airbreak. So went about, did a project, revamped our onboarding, made a couple product tweaks for Heroku users, and ended up improving our churn by like over 80%. So what that meant for us was more money in the bank, more profitable, and I got a pretty nice raise, which was not bad. So what I have for you is I'm going to give you a couple assignments here that are really important. In order for you to get the most out of this course, we're shortly going to dive into how you can write your first SQL queries. I want you to figure out what metric you want to learn more about in your company throughout this course. This could be your most valuable customers. This could be the churn, how many people are canceling on your app. This could be the lifetime value of a customer, profitability of a marketing campaign, whatever it is. I want you to think about that metric, and if you could, post it into the discussion section of this course. I would love to see what you're thinking about, what you're struggling with, and be helpful if I can answer any questions you have. The second thing I need you to do is get read-only access to your database, or have a developer set up what's called a slave server for you to run queries against. I'll put this in the resources next, so you'll be able to see these three things. But it's really important to get access to this database because it will allow you to run queries against a database that will give you no chance of messing anything up if you were to mistype something or write a bad query. So read only access to a database, or have an engineer or developer set up what's called a slave server for you to run queries against. Third and last thing, ask someone technical, likely the same guy that sets up this database for you, how to run queries against this read-only or slave database. Just ask them, is it Postgres? Is it MySQL? Is it SQLite? Whatever it is, just ask them, okay, once I have access to this database, how do I actually go ahead and run a query? And then try running just one query that they type. After you do these three things, you'll be ready to get so much out of this course, and I'm really excited to show you guys what you can do with SQL. So now we'll dive in to how you can write your first SQL query. Look forward to seeing what you guys are going to learn about in the discussion.